This video is not intended to encourage or glorify any kind of drug use. The sole purpose of these videos is to educate you on the dangers of what these substances can do to you. Please do not do any of the acts mentioned in this video. I repeat, do not do any of the acts mentioned in this video.
Welcome to the world of Tales from the Trip.
I was put on 20 milligrams of Prozac daily at the age of 16 in an attempt to lessen the effects of bulimia and bipolar disorder on my life. At first, everything seemed to be going fine. The only problem I ran into was the obvious problem of a bulimic taking oral medicine. The medicine-induced cravings, which would make me binge, which would make me purge, which would make the medicine for the day useless. After the first week, I got the sense to start taking it in the morning before I left for school and leaving all my food and money at home, so I had no chance of being able to purge. On the weekends, I would stay awake until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore, pop the pill, and go to sleep. This was when my problem started, when I actually let the pill stay in my body long enough to do its job. It only took 2 days before I noticed how bitchy I was acting. My temper was definitely shorter than it had been before, and I was constantly on edge. I talked to my doctor about it, who said that it would pass, so I kept on trucking, hoping that it would just go away. Now don't get me wrong, it did what it was supposed to do. I didn't have as many mood swings, and over time, the medicine stopped giving me cravings, and took them away altogether. However, because I have anorexic tendencies, this really didn't help me much. I was only eating a little bit of fruit and salad a day, and running 4 or 5 miles a day on top of that. I liked losing weight, so I kept taking the Prozac, even though it annoyed me that my temper was so short. After about a month on Prozac, everything really started to hit the fan. I'm in a video production class, and we were at the local bowling alley filming a match, my instructor criticizing my work over the headsets, and after only a few minutes, I told him to have someone else come take over my camera. When someone did come out, I told her that I hated the instructor, stormed to the control room, told the teacher that he was an asshole, and left the alley right in the middle of the game. I am very lucky not to have had my ass thrown out of the class for this outburst. To me, being criticized was like the end of the world. My emotions were running extremely high, and I felt like I was having an anxiety attack, which I haven't had since I was in elementary school. It was an extreme overreaction, and at the time, I had no idea what was wrong with me or why I was acting that way. A few days later, I was plotting how I would kill myself. I can't even describe what it felt like. It was a million times worse than I felt normally, and I felt like there was no way my life could ever get better. Really, I was just waiting around to die, right? Why not speed up the process? That night, I took 40 Benadryl pills, hoping it would be enough to kill someone my size. Thank God it just made me hallucinate, knock me out, and make me wake up with a massive hangover feeling. From all I've read online, a dose that size should have killed me, and I'm extremely lucky that, for some reason, I didn't die. Taking Prozac nearly killed me. I've heard of many people feeling so much better on Prozac, but for me, it wasn't that way, and it's that way for a lot of people. I wish you the best of luck and that you find the right medication for you, because I really do believe that antidepressants have the ability to turn a person's life around. Hi all, I've been a lurker and wanted to share my experience. I have CPTSD, social anxiety, depression, and severe panic disorder. There was a point where I was having such bad panic attacks that I was passing out from hyperventilating. I couldn't do mundane things like sit in a restaurant without noticing everyone, the lights, the sounds, and it all feeling like it was closing on me. I constantly wondered if the world was ending, if a war was coming, if I was going to go into sudden cardiac arrest from stress. I work at a hospital as a medical professional, and I love my job dearly, but I was having to leave work every day to the point where I ended up going on medical leave because I had a nervous breakdown from constantly wondering when my next panic attack would come, or if I was going to lose my job and everything I worked so hard for. My first 2 weeks on Prozac were god-awful. I had so many panic attacks that I thought I was actually going to die. I couldn't sleep or function for days at a time. It felt like drinking 30 cups of coffee then trying to sit still. I hated it, but I fought through it. Fast forward to week 5. I can go out with friends. I haven't left work early at all. I'm 3 weeks panic attack free. I've lost weight. I don't have food cravings. I can sleep through the night. I don't have to devise an escape plan every time to leave the house. On top of this, everyone in my life says I'm so much happier and outgoing. I laugh, enjoy the little things, and I'm not hoping I go to sleep and never wake up again. I know it's hard and it's scary, but it gets better. My husband got on 20 milligrams last fall. Fast forward to today, and he lives in a $1 million house he paid for in cash in the woods, and I live in a secret apartment. He went manic on the medication. I thought he might actually kill me. He was screaming every day at me about how terrible I am. It's like his mind was replaying thoughts from years past over and over again. He told me I physically abuse him, and he's scared of me. I have never touched him, maybe only during sex. He took me off any account we share and humiliated me publicly by telling places that I'm charging his card unauthorized charges. He was grandiose and kept saying that he's going to be a C-suite execution and that I need to get on the fucking boat or get off. Then he went and bought this house without me even knowing. Prozac ruined my life. He got off in March. I see he is less angry. I had to serve him divorce papers, though after waiting almost 11 months. Is his brain going to heal from this? I read stories that one day the mania may just subside and he will have clarity in thought, and then instant regret. "2022 was a rough year. Between watching both of my parents' health deteriorate to just a very overly stressful job and some personal battles. In March, I hit my breaking point. Between working full-time, taking care of both of my older parents, both in their 80s, and being very depressed and constantly anxious and suffering panic attacks. I stopped taking care of myself. I was not sleeping, barely eating or drinking anything substantial, and not having time for myself to work out or do things that brought me happiness. I hit rock bottom one day. When I was at my parents taking care of them, I ended up having a grand mal seizure. I came to and had another one back to back and ended up in the hospital. My doctor put me on Prozac along with a lot of physical therapy and daily follow-ups with a neurologist. In the end, everything happened due to how much stress I was putting on myself. I have been on Prozac since the first week of April. I am a different person. Yes, the first few weeks were tough and the side effects kicked my ass, but I held out, and I'm so glad I did. I wake up every day so happy, in a genuinely good and peaceful mood. I feel full of life again. I wanted to share this because I want people to know there is a light at the end of the tunnel. If you are struggling right now, please don't give up. Stick it through. Prozac was a miracle and a blessing for me. I know how hard the first few weeks can be, but be strong. You're halfway there to feeling peace and relief. I had been battling depression for about a year, and my doctor prescribed me 40 milligrams of Prozac daily. I was fighting regularly with my parents and friends, and one night, after a particularly bad argument, found myself kicked out of my house with nowhere to go. I walked to a local coffee shop with nothing except what I had in my pockets, my prescription bottle and some change. After purchasing an energy drink and sitting alone for a while, I decided to try taking all of my Prozac at once in an effort to kill myself. At around 9 o'clock, I took approximately 30 pills, which was roughly 1,200 milligrams of fluoxetine, along with the energy drink. I sat for a while longer in the coffee shop, not experiencing many effects other than the emotional distress I was already in. At this point, my father arrived, worried about my well-being, and I fled to the local police station where my father phoned paramedics. I sat outside the police station for the better part of an hour in sub-zero temperatures without a winter coat, hat, or even gloves. The paramedics, who arrived soon after 11 o'clock, took me to the hospital in an ambulance. In the ambulance, my blood pressure and other vital signs all tested regular, but my temperature was measured at 35 degrees Celsius, which, although low, was attributed to me sitting in the cold. I was feeling generally unwell, but not nauseous. Upon arrival to the hospital, I was placed in a room where I could be seen clearly from the nurse's station. In plain view of all the nurses and doctors, I was left alone to sit in my misery. I spent the next several hours, from 11:30 until roughly 5 in the morning, sitting in this hospital room experiencing minor side effects. The effects consisted mostly of heightened anxiety and paranoia and general restlessness. Although I was restless, I felt emotionally and physically exhausted. At approximately 6 a.m., I was transferred from the ER to the psychiatric ward and was permitted to sleep. I fell asleep straight away around 6:15 and was woken up at 9:30 by a nurse for a psychiatric evaluation. Upon waking, I found myself to have a terrible migraine, along with an inability to eat due to nausea. At the evaluation, the psychiatrist noted that in the morning, my blood pressure and heart rate were alarmingly low, and I had somehow lost between 10 and 5 pounds overnight due to sweating and diarrhea. However, I had no recollection of the latter. The psychiatrist suggested that I may have been suffering from memory loss at the peak of the medication in my system due to the overdose. Over the next few days, I suffered from high sensitivity to light and loud noises, as well as being unable to eat greasy foods without feeling sick. After approximately 3 days, the symptoms had all abated, and I remained at the hospital under the supervision of nurses and psychological specialists.